15 years ago, something happened to me that changed my life and the way I look at history. I walked into this building, and there was something off, something wrong. There was this very pungent, strong smell. And it wasn't that the smell was that awful by itself, but it was the whole context. Because I was in my final year as an art history student, and I visited an art show in Venice. And I was thinking, I'm supposed to look at things here, not to smell things. Did something happen in the kitchen, an accident? This is really disturbing my aesthetic gaze. That's what I was thinking. And only hundreds of meters ahead, I smelled the source, and I saw the source of my irritation. And it turned out to be this work of art by Ernesto Neto. I was flabbergasted. I was amazed. I thought, can smell actually be part of art? Then what am I, as an art historian, supposed to think about this? How am I supposed to handle this? So I did what any other sane person would do. I decided to become a smell historian. And I found amazing examples of our volatile heritage and smelly art that we will share with you today. But first, we're going to do a crash course of smelling. You were all handed a stick, a smell stick. Do you have it? Oh, some people don't have it. Maybe you can borrow one of your neighbor. We have 2 eyes and we have 2 ears to perceive ambiently. But why do you think we have 2 nostrils? Let me demonstrate, so repeat after me. Close one nostril, smell. Do the same thing with the other one. Now, who has the strongest perception on the right side? Please raise your hands. And who has the strongest perception on the left side? Well, don't worry, you're all the same. I'll explain why. There's a constant fast airflow in one of your nostrils and a slow one in the other, because some molecules are only detectable in slow or fast airflows. So in order to perceive everything, you have to use both nostrils to smell 3-dimensionally. And here it comes. Every 3 hours this changes. Your nostrils take shifts. So now that you're all expert smellers, we can start the rest of this presentation. Let me take you back 2,000 years ago. You all know this building, the Colosseum in Rome. And you all know what happened there. People and animals fought each other to death. There must have been the smell of fear, the smell of blood, the smell of decay, the smell of excrements of elephants and giraffes. That's not what we're diffusing right now. Don't worry. The Romans had clever ways to hide these smells. What you're actually looking at is the largest smell diffusing system that has ever faced our planet. There was an elaborate tube system in the Colosseum, pipes ending in the statues that once adorned the arches. And there, this smell was diffused. That's also on your stick, and that's neroli. Sometimes there are more apparent cues to our volatile history. You probably recognize this story as well, the 3 kings offering gifts to Jesus. Think of what they were. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh, so 2 smells. Did you ever wonder why did these 3 kings offer a newborn child? Smells. You have to realize that in these days, resins were extremely rare and extremely expensive. And they were suitable gifts to pharaohs, to priests, to kings, even to God himself. They were burned per fumum, through smoke, hence still our use of the word perfume. What you smell now, you've read the word 1,000 times, you've probably never smelled it. It smells quite bitter, which is the exact meaning of the word myrrh. And in the Middle Ages, this was seen as symbolic. The bitterness of this resin was thought to carry a prophecy in its aromatic dimension. So the bitterness stood for Christ's future suffering. So smells as symbols. So history can tell us a lot about smells, but sometimes smells can also tell us a lot about history. As a smell historian, I stick my nose into various things you cannot even imagine. I smelled mummies. Here I'm smelling an ancient, fragrant piece of jewelry. I've been to antique apothecary cabinets, and I've also smelled perfumed wigs. In the 18th century, the wealthy perfumed their wigs. The Amsterdam Museum has a wig of an 18th century Amsterdam mayor, and I wanted to smell if I could figure out which perfumes they might have used. So I went there. I was a bit hesitant at first because, of course, it's very intimate. It's something someone wore close to his skin. But I bent over, used both nostrils, inhaled. No perfume, but I did smell something else. I smelled this animal. This wig was clearly made of horse hair. And only the chic people used real hair. So this mayor was either tight on a budget or quite avarice. And the smell of horses, the people at the back might smell it a bit later. The horse is arriving right now, I think. The smell of horses always takes me back to my childhood, because I used to do horseback riding. And I bet you all know this feeling. You enter a room, you smell something, suddenly you're back at your grandparents' house. Smell is apparently the strongest inducer of memories, of early memories. And the beauty is, even people suffering from Alzheimer, dementia, never lose their olfactory memory. Peter de Cupere, an olfactory artist, smell artist, made use of this fact. In a home for the elderly, people suffering from Alzheimer can hardly find their way. All the hallways look the same. They get confused, they get lost. Not since Peter installed his smello flowers. Now each hallway smells different, and people can simply follow their noses, and at the same time, childhood memories are triggered. And this is extremely reassuring for people who often do not even remember who they are. And in the different seasons, different smells are diffused. And one of them is being diffused right now. And I bet it will also trigger some childhood memories in you. Gets a bit mingled with the horse right now. Yeah, I can tell by people's faces on the front row that they recognize this smell. Smell has other unique capacities. Did you know that each and every one of you has a body odor as unique as a fingerprint? And that apparently we choose our partner by their smell. We can smell if the other person has an immune system that is compatible with ours or complementary to ours. That's why we might fall in love at first sniff. Again, an artist made use of this unique fact. Clara Ursiti created Pheromone Link, a smell dating agency. You can walk in, grab a t-shirt that was worn by someone, and then sniff out who you like. Here you see people in action. This girl over here apparently did not find her true love. She did not like this smell. Now imagine this, you fall in love with someone through the internet. We cannot diffuse smells over the internet, but you're in love, you decide to meet, and then you hate the other person's smell. No way that will ever work. So why don't we just diffuse smells over the internet? That is a scenario that's already happening. It might already be possible. In 2014, a Harvard professor invented the O-phone. And the first scented transatlantic email that smelled of champagne and macaroons was sent in 2014. But what if we would combine the latest technology with all this more meaningful historical and art historical uses? Then we can really start to use smell in a much more meaningful way. And even without that technology, We can just start to smell. Smell each other, smell your surroundings. Create history books with smells. Write down the smells in a diary so that at least people, when you once get old, will know which smells triggered your memory. They say an image can say more than 1,000 words. Well, I say a smell can say more than 1,000 images. Thank you.